Hello all my Kinvians and welcome to a new episode of Discovering Once Upon a Time. Today the episode I'm going to be watching is Skin Deep, and I don't know why, but every time I see the title's name, or the title of this episode, I keep getting a Sum 41 song in my head. It's the song Too Deep, only in this case it's "'Cause I'm in skin deep and I'm trying to keep up above in my head. That doesn't make sense in context." No, editor, it's really mean of you to make fun of my singing. I know I'm not that good. Anyway. Alright, so yes, today is Skin Deep. I have no idea what this episode is going to be about. So let's just get into it and see if Regina is going to try and destroy what David and Mary Margaret have. Even though technically they're destroying what him and Catherine have. That was there before, so Rumpelstiltskin's going to be in on this one, apparently.
Well, that was a bit of a letdown.
Lumpy Pumpy!
Send me a message.
I will go with you forever.
Belle.
Belle?
You cannot do this. Belle.
Beauty and the Beast, Belle.
You can't go with this.
Okay.
Caston. It's been decided.
You know, that's a lot for me to process. Given how much of a jump we've got here from... At the very least, I've never actually seen or read much of any information about the original fairy tale, but the Beauty and the Beast from the Disney movie, at least, very different. So, oh my god. So, Buzz from Psych is Gaston. And... well, first of all, if Belle and all them are supposed to be French, because it takes place in a French province, I believe, the fact that they're speaking very British, or at least she is, would probably be a bit insulting to the original Belle, but doesn't really matter. Ah, my brain! Okay. Continuing.
Mr. French is just having a bad day. Happens to the best of us.
Oh, Mr. French! France!
You have something I want to discuss.
His normal self, he's fine. He's happy? Yes. No. A lot. Trust me, I'm afflicted.
Oh, I'm actually seeing Gold's house. Wonder if we'll see a dagger on the wall. Well, okay then. Ah, God. Buh.
You will serve me my children I hunt for them help. That one was a quip. Assuming I don't find them. Let's just say bad things tend to happen to bad people.
Is that a threat?
Observation.
He's gonna have some knees busted. Holy crap.
Good luck.
What did you do? Nail them down?
Yeah.
Oh my god, he's the Beast.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh,
I am Sir Gaston.
I guessed on.
And you, beast, have taken.
Easy enough.
Who was that?
2 Valentines. Sounds like a complicated life. Just say.
That doesn't seem psychotic at all. Yeah, totally not psychotic. Not at all.
What with you for a spell?
Why?
You carry very little.
Aw.
That is not good for a sentence. Go! Listen, tell me where it is. She's gone forever. She's not coming back.
Oh, jeez.
You are her father!
Oh, Jesus.
Ashley.
Aw.
Sean?
Hey, I am. And ask you something.
Yay!
Will you marry me?
Like you? Catherine, I woof you.
Oh.
I always thought that if not, you're under arrest.
Did he really think he was just going to walk away from that?
What's your name?
Miss Mr. Gold.
Your real name.
Every moment I've spent on this earth, that's been my name.
But what about moments spent elsewhere?
Hmm.
Your name.
Rumpelstiltskin.
Uh.
Give me what I want.
Rest assured I have nothing to do with that tragedy.
Wait, what?
What? Tragedy.
You don't know?
Uh-oh.
Well, I know how hard you work. Has anyone been to see her? Not today. Not ever.
I am baffled by what has just transpired. And I want to know how they're going to follow up on that. I want to know, like, okay, first of all, she's apparently still alive. She didn't die back then. One, does Mr. French know that she's there? Obviously, Mr. Gold / Rumpelstiltskin doesn't know. Does anyone know she's there? Does anyone know she exists? Does everyone think she's dead? Locked in a tower where they sent people to cure her and got her in, my apologies to anyone who really hates this term, the loony bin. Oh my god. Part of me feels like I should have seen that coming as soon as she started telling Rumpelstiltskin about what happened to her, but I didn't.
I don't know what I'd do without you, Sydney.
I'm not going to say I knew it, but I knew it. And now I really want to know, like, I don't know what the next episode is going to be about, but I have a feeling it's not going to carry on that storyline. Probably have to wait at the very least later in this season to get any more information on that. Chances are it's actually going to be probably next season before anything else comes up about that. Okay.
Many hours later.
Alright, so Skin Deep. This episode was a roller coaster, to say the least. Like, just the simple idea of the fact that we were actually touching on the Beauty and the Beast story, the spin that they put on that to start with, and how hilarious I found that, to the deep and depressing ending that we got in this episode. I just... Wow, what a roller coaster. And I apologize for any like background noise that's going on. Got people mowing their lawns. I'm pretty sure that's one of the neighbor kids running, not running around, but riding on their little motorized cars. So if you hear any background noise, I can't really do much about it, so I'm sorry. But let's get right into it with my favorite parts about this episode. Starting with the two characters, Caston and Belle, primarily because of who was playing them. Now, the first one that jumped out to me was Gaston, who I didn't realize was Gaston until it was actually mentioned, and is played by the same guy who plays Buzz McNabb on the show Psych. And just so you know, if you've never seen the show Psych before, it's hilarious, it's worth watching, please do. But he's played by Sage Brocklebank, I think is how you say his name. For the ladies, well, whatever your inclination, rather attractive guy, so, you know, there's that. Not someone I would have thought to play as Gaston, though. Like, at the very least, based on, like, the Disney version. When I think Gaston, I think, like, just huge muscles, like, just huge ripped guy. Like, in this case, he was just kind of your average, like, handsome prince type character. So, I don't know if he was necessarily the best pick. It did make me jump for joy seeing him, since I know who he is. But yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily the best pick for Gaston, but it worked for the story at least, so yay. And then, of course, there's Belle. And I really enjoyed her character. I feel like the way they played Belle, or the way they wrote Belle in this episode, and the way she was played was phenomenally done. And I spent the entire episode, I didn't say this out loud, but I was trying to think of who she was, because she was so familiar. And it wasn't until afterward that I looked it up real quick, and she is played by, I apologize for mispronouncing the name, Emily de Ravin, or however it's said, but she plays Claire in the show Lost, and that's where I know her from. I know she's been in other things, but that is the most prominent role of hers in my personal memory. So yeah, I was really happy to see her here, and based on the ending at least, it's not going to be her last appearance. Whether or not it's until she has her memory back or something happens beforehand, I have no idea, but really cool to see her. And so yeah, that was my first favorite part of this, was those two characters played by those two people. I just love it. But moving on, my second favorite part of this episode was the Rumpelstiltskin, Rumpy Pumpy, the Rumpel, if you will, in the role of the Beast, which I didn't see coming, honestly. I mean, it makes sense since we saw the spinning wheel at the beginning that he was going to play a rather big role in this episode, but for some reason I just thought it was going to be one of those things where he appears in the beginning and then he doesn't play a huge role, or he doesn't make a lot of appearances throughout the rest of the episode, similar to the Cinderella one with Ashley. Now, Mr. Gold appeared quite a bit in that episode, but Rumpelstiltskin himself only appeared in a few select moments. In the beginning, a bit in the middle, and then, you know, obviously toward the end. And I was expecting something similar to that, where he was going to take her to the castle, and it's being controlled by this big beastly character. But no, it's him. It was Rumpelstiltskin, the Dark One, if you will. And I love the twist that they did there. I love the fact that they went in that direction. And no offense to any furries out there, but it's more believable that she would find a way to fall in love with Rumpelstiltskin as opposed to a giant beast character, or a giant animalistic beast. It's more realistic to me, at least. Again, no offense to furries out there, but that's just how I feel. But yeah, really love the way they did that and the way it worked and how it played into the episode as a whole. My God. But more on that later. My third favorite part about this episode was the fact that they actually did the callback to the fact that Beauty and the Beast takes place in a French province by way of the guy who was the king in Storybrooke being called Mr. French. It's hilarious and I love it. But one thing that really jumped out to me through the episode that I was trying to get a hold of, because it was clear that, you know, we weren't seeing Belle in her Storybrooke incarnation throughout the entire episode. And that's something that's not normal. Like, if someone is the primary focus of an episode, which she was alongside Rumpelstiltskin, we see that character, but she was nowhere to be found. So of course the only assumption I can make is that she's dead. She's dead. She died. Something happened to her. Obviously that ended up being not the truth, but yeah, I like the fact that they actually put a really good spin on the parallels of the episode. In this case, it being Rumpelstiltskin and Mr. Gold's parallels throughout. And maybe not so much the parallels, but the motivation of why Mr. Gold was being as ruthless as he was. And dear God, from the moment that he just started going ham on Mr. French's legs with his cane, like, I don't think there was one happy moment in the episode from that point on. Unless I'm getting a few things possibly out of order. No, I don't think it was out of order. Yeah, from that point on, the only happy moment that I can think of was when Henry showed up, and him and Emma got 30 minutes to spend together, which was really nice. Yeah. While other things were revealed. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My next favorite part of this episode was Mary Margaret and David, and seeing, one, how just adorable and not subtle at all they're being. I mean, my God, it was utterly ridiculous that Mary Margaret and David were being that way, but of course, writing. Not that it's bad writing, it's just, it's the way it's written. Ruby clearly caught on to it. But I like the way this episode evolved. It showed that it's like they are happy with the idea of being together, and they are together in some form, but they can't truly be together as long as David is with Catherine. So David's gonna have to do something. What that is, I mean, the only thing I can think of is that he's going to file for divorce with Catherine. I don't know whether or not he'll actually reveal the fact that he's with Mary Margaret or not, or he's been, you know, spending time with Mary Margaret or not to Catherine. But I guess the only way I'll find out with that is to, you know, keep watching, obviously. But yeah, I think that might be what he does. It's like he'll file for divorce. And I mean, I don't know, maybe a short storyline will come of that, since, you know, he's the one who doesn't have all of his memories, or, you know, he's recovering from not having his memories and all that weird stuff. But yeah, interested to see how that resolves. Speaking of which, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here and mention another favorite part of this episode. Actually, two favorite parts. The cards. Yeah, the Valentine's Day cards. That moment with Mary Margaret. It's not even really a favorite moment. It's probably the most cringeworthy moment of the entire episode, possibly of the entire series so far. Is when he gives Mary Margaret Catherine's card. And I know it's something so simple, but come on, dude. You get two cards to give to the two women that you're in love with, one that you remember being in love with and the one that you're actually in love with, and you give the one you're actually in love with the wrong card. What is wrong with you? At least write the name on the card. Everyone does that, to the best of my knowledge. Like, even if you're just handing the card to the person, it's like, you write down the person's name. And if you got those mixed up, well, you're just kind of dumb, dude. And I know this is all writing. It's like, David's not real. And so I'm kind of going crazy about a completely fictional character who is also a different kind of fictional character, and now my brain is starting to hurt. But it was so cringeworthy, and I love it as well because it got such a reaction out of me. But you know what, I'm actually going to go ahead and mention one of my favorite quotes of the episode as well, because it ties in directly to that. And it's when David is getting the Valentine's Day cards and he sees Mr. Gold, to which Mr. Gold says, "Two Valentines. Sounds like a complicated life." And it's because of the way that Robert Carlyle says it. Robert Carlyle is just phenomenal. I need to see more of the man's work because, my God, he plays two roles, three if you count Rumpelstiltskin before he got the powers. But he plays the two different roles in these episodes so well. And it's the Mr. Gold persona, the way he talks and the way he says that just makes that line so perfect. I absolutely love it. Two Valentines. Sounds like a complicated life. So yeah, I love that. Okay, my next favorite part about this episode is what just starts bringing everything crumbling down. Not so much the Regina part appearing, which does make sense when this comes into play, but the true love's kiss between Belle and Rumpelstiltskin. And actually, I might have an annoyance with that as well, if I remember to mention it. But the true love's kiss, and it starts to break the curse. Now, obviously, it's a very powerful curse, so it doesn't just happen instantly. So it's like the power, the gold starts to recede from his face. But it he maintains the curse, what have you. But the idea that it actually is possible, it would be possible for the powers of the Dark One, the curse laid upon Rumpelstiltskin, the Dark One, which the previous Dark One had to die so it wouldn't have the powers anymore and could pass that on, could be broken by a true love's kiss. Now the idea, I think that they've actually said before, maybe not, that any curse can be broken by a true love's kiss. But the fact that it actually could have worked in this case, I find truly interesting, and it makes me wonder what might happen in the future, obviously, as the story progresses. And hopefully Belle, or whatever her name is in Storybrooke, returns to the storyline. But yeah, that was really interesting, really cool. The true love's kiss. And I'll get to the annoyance again if I remember here in a few. But moving on from there, my next favorite part was really quite simple, and it plays into the Mary Margaret and David whole thing. Ashley and Sean, just the nice compact little storyline there. It's like we see Ashley for the first time. She has the baby. She's stressed out. She doesn't get to see Sean very much. They're together at the very least, but there's some doubt there. And then he shows up at the girls' night with flowers for her, and he proposes. And it's, again, just this nice little resolution to this tiny little conflict that took place, and it's something that does make you happy. It's probably one of the last things that was happy that actually occurred in the episode up until, Henry showed up for that 30 minutes with Emma to hang out. But yeah, I just thought that was really cute, and it was well done. Again, just a nice compact little storyline within the primary storyline that we were experiencing throughout the episode. And then, my final favorite part of this episode. The resolution of everything after, Mr. Gold gets arrested for beating the ever-loving crap out of Mr. French's legs. Literally busting some kneecaps. So I wasn't wrong early in the video. And the confrontation, the conversation between Regina and Mr. Gold, when he reveals that he truly does have his memories back. What is your name when you've been elsewhere? Obviously it's been somewhat clear that he has the memories. Some of the others pointed out that he apparently, or some of the comments said, he basically got his memories back when Emma's name was said, because that sort of opened up the curse for him, or opened up his mind from the curse. And then, of course, his use of please, which we got the second time at the beginning of this episode. But there's just something so perfect about that reveal at the end, that he truly does remember. He knows who he was, or who he is, rather. And that just sent chills down my spine, that they actually went all the way and revealed it. And I didn't write this part down, but when he says, like, don't forget, I still have the power here. Regina's voice, like, the woman who plays her is phenomenal. But there's that slight difference in the way she speaks between being Storybrooke Regina and the Enchanted Forest Regina. And when she says, "We shall see," probably paraphrasing, when she says that, it is with the pronunciation, it's with the tone of the evil queen. And that even made Rumpelstiltskin / Mr. Gold, sit back a little bit. Like, he was scared. Or at the very least intimidated in that moment. So, I'm crazy excited to see where this goes. Because I have a feeling that things are going to kind of start to escalate from here. But yeah. Oh, and then, of course, I didn't write this down as a favorite just because I was so friggin' shocked as to what was going on, but I guess you could say another favorite part would be when Regina shows up and tells Rumpelstiltskin about what happened to Belle and how it played into the very end, that final twist at the end. That's the favorite part, the final twist at the end. Not so much the finding out that she was essentially tortured and killed, or tortured and killed herself. That does bring to mind a question, though. Well, actually, no, it doesn't. It doesn't bring to mind a question, because obviously Regina was lying. The evil queen was lying. Because unless she somehow survived jumping from the tower back in the Enchanted Forest, she wouldn't be alive now. She would still be dead. That's how it works. Kind of like how her father was killed by her and is still dead. So, yeah. Those are all my favorite parts in this crazy roller coaster of an episode. That being said, I do have possibly a very slight annoyance, or it could just be something that I didn't notice. I'm sure Meleena will point this out to me, our wonderful editor lady, whether or not I just forgot or didn't see it. But my annoyance is for the true love's kiss. I thought it had been pointed out to me that whenever that happens, there's essentially like sort of a rush of magic. Like there's a poof, something like that happens. In this case, when the true love's kiss happens, there's no like surge of magic. It's simply, again, the curse starting to recede from Rumpelstiltskin's face. And maybe that depends on the strength of the curse. Like the Dark One's curse may be because it's the strongest curse of all, next to the one that Regina put forth on everyone, that maybe it doesn't get that burst of magic so much as, it's the curse is still actively fighting against it, which explains why, it was able to go back to normal. I'm sure that'll be explained to me by someone, but yeah, just the slight annoyance that's probably more so just me being ignorant / kind of dumb / just overthinking things. That never happens. But moving on from there, I do have another favorite quote of this episode. The first one being "To Valentines, sounds like a complicated life." The first and main one came very early in the episode, and it really defines Belle as a character. And it's, "No one decides my fate but me." It establishes her independence. It establishes her courage, because she even says in the episode, that, you know, women don't get a chance to be the brave ones. It's always, you know, men are the knights, they're the ones fighting, they're the ones who get to show their courage. So that was her opportunity to show her courage, to show that she was brave, to sacrifice. And no one decides her fate but her. I love, that's not the actual quote, no one decides my fate but me. I love that quote. It is perfection in my mind. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about this episode other than what I said before. It was a roller coaster. It was very well done. It was structured amazingly. It had me laughing and truly enjoying, wondering what was going to happen next on the beginning part. But then when things got serious and got dark, holy crap, it got dark. Like, it escalated going downhill like a side of a cliff, like yeah, just a phenomenal episode, and ready to see what is going to be coming up next. And actually, let's jump over here and see what the next episode is going to be. Why don't we? My browser is not cooperating with me right now, so let's see if we can't get to that before it starts playing something else. I did it. What happened to Frederick? Who's Frederick? Why should I care? Frederick Frankenstein. I'm going to assume that most of you probably haven't seen Young Frankenstein and probably won't get that joke. But oh well, it makes me laugh. Alright, everyone, thank you so much for being here for this episode of Discovering Once Upon a Time. I'm getting truly invested in this, and I am ready to go through more of the season. It is currently the Memorial Day weekend here in the US, so I will be watching at least a few more episodes so I can get them to Meleena for editing. And I'll try and mention this elsewhere on the channel as well, but just so you know, something I'm going to be doing going forward is after Meleena edits these videos and gets them to me, she gives me the full version, and then I have to trim it down for YouTube. So when I'm doing that, when I'm editing on just, you know, trimming down the episodes, I will be doing live streams over at Twitch. And I'll essentially be doing a full watch of my own reaction that people can join in on. And they're going to be basically a one-time only deal because I want to try and avoid Twitch's copyright deals. It's not as bad as YouTube can be, but you know, I don't want to cause any issues in that regard. So what I'll be doing is, after the streams, which I will be scheduling and posting on Instagram and other social media, the live streams will be deleted. So there will be no video on demand for anyone to go back and watch. So that's going to be a one-time thing only for each episode that I work on. So yeah, if you're interested in that at all, go follow me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/PapaKenMedia. And I've been talking far too long now. This episode is going to be ridiculously long. I apologize, everyone. I apologize, Meleena. So, until next time, everyone, for What Happened to Frederick, I'm Papa Ken, and I will see you in the next episode.